You read the Bible and you wonder, were those places real? I mean, not just settings for old stories, but actual physical spots on a map that are still here, thousands of years later. What if you could actually stand where it all happened? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're about to go on a journey to see how faith isn't just written on pages, it's written in stone. So let's just start with that question, right? Because if these locations are real, it changes everything. Suddenly, the events that happen there, they shift from feeling like a myth to feeling like history. They become real, tangible. Okay, let's get into it. Because this is really the heart of it all. The very foundations of faith are carved into the landscape of our world. So think of this as a kind of virtual pilgrimage. We're heading to these incredible sites to see for ourselves how they stand as these powerful physical reminders of a story that, believe it or not, is still unfolding today. And of course, our journey has to begin where his did. We're starting in the lush, rolling hills of Galilee, which was really the epicenter of his world-changing ministry. So take a look at the Sea of Galilee. It seems so peaceful, doesn't it? But don't let that calm water fool you. 2,000 years ago, this very lake was the backdrop for some of the most profound moments in history. It was right here, along these exact shores, that Jesus found his first disciples. Simple fishermen, just casting their nets, whose lives were about to be turned completely upside down. Can you even imagine hearing those words echo across this water? This is also the place where a massive, violent storm kicked up, terrifying the disciples in their little boat. And Jesus just stands up and calms the waves with a single command. It's an amazing story for sure, but the real power is knowing that the very same voice that could still a raging sea can bring peace to the storms brewing in our own lives too. And just a short walk from that shore, we find the ruins of Capernaum. I mean, today it's a quiet, reflective place, but back then, this was a bustling fishing village. And for Jesus, this was basically home base. This was the headquarters for his entire ministry in Galilee, the town where he taught, where he healed people, and where he performed one miracle after another. But here's the thing about Capernaum. It's a bit of a paradox. On one hand, this town saw it all. I mean, archaeologists have literally unearthed the synagogue where Jesus almost certainly taught. And yet, he ended up warning the city for its lack of faith. And that leads to this huge insight. Seeing isn't automatically believing. It's just not that simple. Faith isn't something passive that just happens to you when you see enough evidence. It's an active, conscious choice to trust. Okay, from there, let's travel to Nazareth. Now, in the first century, Nazareth was nothing. I mean, a tiny, dusty backwater village, maybe a few hundred people. It was completely off the map, the last place you'd ever expect anything important to happen. And yet, this is the exact spot God chose to announce the single most important event in human history. And this just perfectly illustrates one of the most beautiful themes we see again and again. The story of Nazareth is this stunning reminder that God doesn't measure power the way we do. So often, his greatest work begins in the smallest, most overlooked places, through the most ordinary people you can imagine. All right, let's switch gears and journey even deeper into the past. We're going to the bedrock of the Old Testament, where the echoes of an ancient faith can still teach us some pretty profound lessons today. Welcome to what's left of Jericho, one of the oldest cities on the entire planet. And its story is the stuff of legends, right? A mighty fortress with these massive, impenetrable walls, brought down not by some huge army, but by an act of just radical obedience and a truly wild battle plan. I mean, just look at this strategy. It makes zero military sense. Walk in circles, blow some horns, and then yell? It sounds absurd. And yet, it worked. What's absolutely fascinating is that archaeological evidence suggests the city's walls collapsed outward, like they were pushed down from the inside. It's a detail that still baffles engineers. It's this stark physical lesson that God's power often starts right where our human understanding ends. So, from the ruins of that ancient city, we now travel to the stark, majestic silence of the desert. This is Mount Sinai, the incredible peak where tradition says Moses received the Ten Commandments. For thousands of years, this place has been a destination for pilgrims, people just looking to connect with God in its awesome, quiet grandeur. And that's really the whole point of Sinai. This wasn't just about getting a list of rules. This was the moment that belief was translated into behavior. It was God giving his people a blueprint for how to build a just, a fair, and a compassionate society. The crucial point here is that faith isn't just supposed to be some internal feeling. It's a moral compass that's meant to guide our actions out in the real world. All right, for our next stop, we're going to explore this really dramatic contrast between the fleeting glory of human empires and the quiet, unstoppable power of divine revelation. Okay, just think about this comparison for a second. On one side, you've got Babylon. It was the New York, the London, the Tokyo of its day, all rolled into one, a massive symbol of wealth, military power, and human pride. For the people of Israel, it was a place of exile, of deep sorrow. But where is that empire now? It's dust. Its glory is just a memory, a powerful reminder that all human power is temporary. Then you look at Patmos, a tiny, insignificant rock in the sea, a prison island, a place of total isolation. And it was here, in the quiet, in the solitude, that the Apostle John received the mind-blowing visions of the book of Revelation. The contrast could not be more clear. The loudest, most powerful city on earth fell silent, while from the quietest, most desolate place, a message was born that is echoed for eternity. So as we start to bring this journey home, what does it all mean? Let's connect the dots and see how this ancient, living history speaks to us right here and right now. You know, when you step back and look at the path we've traveled, this really beautiful pattern starts to emerge. We saw that God reveals his power, not in the magnificent, but in the ordinary, just like in Nazareth. We learned that true faith asks us to trust beyond our own logic, like at Jericho. That belief isn't just a thought, it's a whole way of life. That's the lesson of Sinai. And finally, that God's eternal promises will always outlast the temporary power of any empire, and that his voice is often heard clearest, not in all the noise, but in the silence of our own Patmos. And that brings us to the most incredible takeaway of all. These places, they aren't just old monuments, they're proof. The same God who called fishermen from their boats, who toppled walls with a shout, and who gave wisdom on a lonely mountain, he is not a relic of the past. That same creative, redemptive, powerful force is still at work in our world today. These stones, these ruins, these ancient landscapes, they're all chapters in a grand, unfolding story. They remind us that faith is a living, breathing history. So the real question these places leave us with isn't about the past, it's about the future. The story is still being written. So what will your chapter be?